it's back to school season. That means we're getting back in the swing of things, trying to make sure we have all the things we need on our grocery list to give us good food throughout the week, get us back on track, but at the same time, be prepared for any back to school cold and flu season things.
Yeah, I mean, if only there was one thing that we could eat or ingest that would help with all those things, like not getting sick and having my allergies be under control.
Yep. Well, there is.
No way.
And that's going to be honey. So that is what we're talking about this week, guys. Thank you so much for tuning back into the Holistic Travel Therapy Podcast. I'm your host, Courtney Condon, occupational therapist.
I'm Jon Wilson, doctor of physical therapy.
And I know we've been a little MIA recently, but we are back. We're in the swing of things. We traveled from Colorado to North Carolina, and literally the first thing we did when we got here on Friday, so the next day, Saturday, is went to the farmer's market to get local honey. We have truly found such a benefit of taking honey daily, putting honey into our baked goods, into our coffees, teas, things like that, because of the research out there that surrounds honey. It is just so amazing.
And again, it is sweet, so it's just easier to put that in your coffee, tea, whatever you're drinking, rather than, stevia or sugar. Obviously, we know the terrible effects of sugar. We've talked about that multiple times before. But even, stevia and those kind of like artificial sweeteners, I think research is starting to come out that those are really not good for us. And they're kind of, masking sugar. And then our body's like, oh, okay, this is sugar. So this is what I'll do with it. And then it's just kind of messing things up a little bit inside, rather than taking something natural or putting something natural in that coffee in the morning. I just feel like that's, it's just way better.
Right. Yeah. So that's going to be what we're talking about today, guys. First, we're going to kind of talk a little bit about like, what is honey? What is composed of honey? And there are things dating back far in the past about the benefits of honey, the medicinal properties. Again, when we think of let thy food be thy medicine, they're talking about things that we're ingesting and we are putting in our body. So first of all, honey is going to have a lot of minerals. So it's not super high in vitamin levels, lower than the recommended daily amount. However, out of all the vitamins, vitamin C is going to be the highest. So one of the reasons why it is said to be good for immune system. When we think about minerals, we're thinking about calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, all the things that are going to help to build strong bones, ensure that all of our organs are functioning properly, and that oxygen's being transported around our body, all those great things. So that is going to be high. Another thing that honey is going to have is enzymes, so protein enzymes to help with digestion, breakdown, again, things that our body just does naturally that honey is going to help to ensure happens properly. And then we're thinking of amino acids and a lot of other, I think it said like over 300 chemical compounds are found in honey.
Good chemical compounds.
Yes,
not the ones that you put in the preserved.
Right, good
foods.
Chemical compounds.
But yeah, I think the biggest thing that honey has is the flavonoids and the anti-inflammatory properties.
Yes, exactly.
And that is the biggest reason why it does help with all of our sicknesses and illnesses, because a lot of those illnesses, most of them are from inflammation.
Right, exactly.
And the fact that it has anti-inflammatories for that, and then oxidative stress, of course, with the inflammation is what gets us sick and leads to dementia and diabetes and all that stuff. It's all from oxidative stress.
Yep, exactly.
So having the antioxidants in there is big with the honey.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of what honey is composed of. And then when we're thinking of what does honey do medicinally to help benefit us, I think a big thing that was well known back in the day is honey was good to treat burns, scrapes, anything topical on top of your skin. One study found that individuals that had like a dermatitis on their skin that applied honey weekly for 4 weeks showed a reduce in that topical dermatitis. Again, it's used in hospitals to help with burns. So we know a lot about like the topical things, but we don't really know a lot about like when we ingest honey, what are some of the benefits that we have there?
Yeah. So yeah, I'm looking at a study from 2020 I got here in the Journal of Nutritional Biochemistry. So
okay, yep.
So it actually looked at a bunch of different studies, and it just kind of talked about, it's a really, big study. We'll have the link. Yeah, very comprehensive. So we'll have the link down low. And it just talked about all these different studies that they looked at: reduce obesity, diabetes, hypertension, overall oxidative stress. And then the biggest thing I saw was the memory one, dementia. So basically 2,000 participants for 6 months, I believe it was. One got, no, it was for a while, because then they checked.
No, it was like 5 years.
Yeah,
or 6
it was for
years.
5 years, and they checked every 6 months. One got a placebo, the other group got honey.
1 tablespoon, that's it.
Yeah, per day. And the group that got honey, only 95 of those participants out of the 2,000 got dementia later in their lives. The ones that got the placebo, 394. So just showing that it actually has an effect on our memory as well is just amazing.
Right, yes. Again, as we kind of talked about, some of that oxidative stress, some of that anti-inflammatory benefits, they just collided. Another big thing is the impact of honey on diabetes. So I think blood sugar, insulin, they're really big buzzwords now that people are starting to be a little bit more aware of, which is amazing. Honey is going to be the only sweetener, let's call it. It shouldn't even be called a sweetener, but sweet property that actually doesn't directly impact insulin. So there have been human studies, animal studies. The one thing that I found super interesting was even in animal studies, if they gave mice honey over long periods of time, their A1C, which is essentially like that blood marker for diabetes, was completely normal. They had diabetic rats, gave them honey, and they became non-diabetic. Yeah. But again, it wasn't just like, I'm going to get the bare honey off the shelves and I'm going to pour it into everything. Like, we're kind of talking more about medicinal, local, organic honey. And I think that was a really big thing that we kind of were like, since we travel so much, we go from place to place. We just went from a super dry climate that was getting down into the 50s and 60s at night over here to like a very humid, wet climate. And our body kind of gets a little off kiltered.
And you would think that would lead to all kinds of issues, which of course, you're not going to sleep as good. You're coming from 2-3 hours, difference, and sleeping in hotels and driving all day and everything. And we still try to keep up with all the things that we've talked about before. And, adding the honey into it really,
it's been huge.
As far as a transition goes, I feel, pretty good, in the last couple of weeks. So it really has helped a lot.
And then when you think about getting local honey, so from the area that you're in, we also think about kind of being exposed to some of the pollens that are in that area. Now, again, a lot of the research is a little bit mixed, mainly on local honey and allergies. However, when we think about what bees are getting, they're getting mainly flower pollen. So you can have like monofloral honey, which is just one type of flower that pollinates the honey, or you can have like multifloral, so a bunch of different types. And by getting a little bit of everything, your body is able to kind of build up an immune system to it. The thing that people are most allergic to, trees, grass, that's what I'm allergic to. Unfortunately, the bees aren't getting pollen directly from those things. So that's why the research is a little bit mixed on the impact of local honey on seasonal allergies. But still, you're ingesting things that are in that area, allowing your body to build up that tolerance and create that immunity. So when you're going into a new environment, your body is like already kind of adjusted and ready to go.
Exactly. So it doesn't have antihistamines, per se in the honey.
Right.
However,
exactly.
I feel like looking at the antioxidants and the anti-inflammatories, allergies, cause inflammation, stuff like that.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Things in your body that aren't really working together. So the fact that even if they're not, they don't have the antihistamines specifically, I think the antioxidants, the anti-inflammatories are still going to help the allergies alongside the oxidative stress and the inflammation coming from viruses, bacteria, stuff like that.
Right. And again, when we're thinking of things like obesity, we kind of touched a little bit on diabetes, insulin. Metabolic syndrome is what directly impacts how our metabolism works, how our body functions. And again, if we are having stress throughout the body, we're going to have an increased risk for getting some metabolic syndrome impact that might have our body store fat more or have our thyroid or different hormones off kiltered. And the ingestion of honey was found to help decrease, again, that oxidative stress, those inflammatory properties that therefore led to a reduction of the metabolic syndrome symptoms.
Yeah.
So it's so amazing how it can directly impact so many areas of your life. And it's something that is honestly pretty simple.
Yeah, I agree. I just want to give a shout out to Jorns. How do you say that?
I know, Jorns, I think.
Gotcha, because I feel like before going to Colorado, I didn't know as much as I know now about honey. And with the propolis, the bee pollen, the royal jelly, I mean, this one is immunity booster. So there's literally some ginger in here, right? Some turmeric, stuff like that.
Yep.
So
directly in the honey. So again, we kind of have these out to show you guys the differences. So this is going to be local Colorado honey. And as Jon mentioned, it has additional anti-inflammatory properties in it, such as the ginger, the turmeric. And I think Jon would say he's put this one in his coffee, and it might not be as delicious.
That's the thing about Bjorns. Like, they had, 45 different types. I mean, they had vanilla whipped cream, good ones if you just wanted to, and it was still, honey. And then they just had straight, what was that called? Straight out of the...
Unfiltered?
Yeah, unfiltered. So it's literally just honey that they got. They didn't do anything.
Right, so it had some of the honeycomb mixed into it. It had some of the, different...
And they were able to kind of go through and, explain to us a lot of the things that we know now and, with all the research.
A lot of people too, if you see local honey, they know. They're way more knowledgeable than us. We honestly want to bring light to those people.
Yeah, I wouldn't say more. They're about tied.
But a lot of times they're the ones that are, whether they know the beekeepers or they're the beekeepers themselves, they have so much information. This one is a local honey.
So we got to North Carolina, so we had to get the local straight from Castlehane. And if you've been in North Carolina, if it's from Castlehane, it's some good natural stuff. So we got this, started taking this recently since we're in the humidity in North Carolina by the beach. So this is kind of our new go-to, and it's been helping. Yeah,
definitely. And then last but certainly not least, it is a pretty big brand now.
Yeah, I think they said it's number one maybe.
So Beekeepers Naturals is a bigger chain.
Yeah, nationwide.
That you can find them, honestly, I think in Walmart, CVS, which you would think if I can find them in CVS or Walmart, maybe they're not top of the top, but this company stands out among the rest, honestly. This is the Propolis Immune Spray, which propolis has double the amount of anti-inflammatory properties that maybe you just get from regular honey. That's really good with your immune system. And so this is one of our favorite things. We keep it in the house all the time. Again, I've been coaching a little bit. My throat's a little scratchy. I feel like 1 or 2 sprays of that, and I feel so good. Some of their other products, they have kids lollipops with propolis. They have different honeys. I mean, they set themselves apart.
And they don't use pesticides. I don't know if you talked about that yet, but they don't use pesticides. So I feel like that's big to get the honey, because if the bees are around the pesticides, I mean, you're literally ingesting those pesticides when you have the honey. So that's big. And none of these are #ads. So that we're just spitting facts right here and letting you guys know the top of the top.
Exactly.
when it comes to honey.
Because I think it's something like we kind of mentioned in the beginning, joking around, like people are going back to school and maybe your kids are grown up and they're out of the house, but your neighbor's kids might be going back to school and then you might be interacting with your neighbor. And that's kind of how germs spread. And we sometimes have had probably too great of a summer and we maybe drank a little too much and slept not enough. And we have a weakened immune system.
Yeah.
And then we're a little anxious about going back to school or our kids going back to school, which also weakens the immune system. And that's really why things are, we get susceptible to different viruses and things like that. So I thought it was a perfect time to kind of talk about it, not only because we're in a new area and have implemented this for ourselves, but a lot of people have children or know of people that are going back to school, whether you're a teacher or, again, a student. And it's something so simple to do. Like I sometimes, if I don't mix it in my coffee, like Jon said, I'll sometimes just take a little teaspoon of honey.
Yeah, you don't have too much.
Right. But. Yeah. So, and then if it's something that you want to incorporate now, like instead of using sugar or even like I was using a lot of maple syrup and agave because those are also, healthier sweeteners. I've completely stopped using those and I use only honey now in our baking. So we get the benefits there when we're eating our chocolate chip zucchini bread and things like that.
No, it's same for my baking. So all my baking, what?
No.
Yeah. So all my baking, I use honey as well. All natural, organic honey when it comes to my cupcakes, muffins.
I was just about to say, what things are you baking, Jon?
Cupcakes, muffins, scones.
Scones.
Yeah, just kind of the three go-tos.
Okay. And where are you, selling them? Because I don't see them in the house at all.
Oh. No, but
I'm just kidding.
We love it. And, I think that was a great idea because it is, we have been to a lot of different places this past year and implementing little things like this on top of obviously food, exercise, sleep, things that we've talked about before and that we will continue to talk about on this podcast. Implementing little things like this to get the extra benefits has been, us able to do this without really getting sick. Maybe you've been sick like once or twice.
Yeah. And I was going to say, there was a period of time where we were driving from Colorado here and I'm not going to lie, like both of us did not feel great. We were kind of stressed. We literally came to North Carolina, dropped off our stuff, and then met my parents in Myrtle Beach for the next 3 days and just were on a beach vacation. And I kid you not, we brought this spray with us. We were taking honey along the whole road trip. And I really do think even when I was kind of like, oh no, I'm like scared that I'm not going to feel good, we actually never got sick.
Exactly, yeah.
And it's so refreshing to be able to come someplace, feel good, and be able to get out and explore and do things instead of being sick.
Yeah, no, definitely. And, a lot of people do say, they love our travels and stuff. But yeah, both of us work super hard, especially when we're at these different places. So we're putting in the hours, we're working hard at work, and then we're working hard on the podcast. So, to have these to help us out really helps.
Yeah, and it's so amazing that something as simple as honey can have anti-inflammatory, anti-diabetic, there's even anti-cancer research studies out there. Yeah. And it is something that has just come from the earth and so easy to implement. So my challenge to you guys this week is, again, you don't have to run out to the store and buy honey if you don't have any in the house, but maybe be a little bit more aware, right? If you are going out shopping this week, like I said, definitely make sure that the honey you are putting in your body is from a good quality source.
Yeah, definitely look at the ingredients.
And you can get honey in the grocery stores, but look at the ingredients. Like Jon said, sometimes there can be honey that is not pure honey.
Because I used to get, even before, like I would get the great value honey from Walmart, and I feel like they water it down a lot, and like I'm just like I feel like
this. If you can't tell, this honey is not super liquidy. No. This honey, I think, is a little bit more liquidy. You can see that, but yeah,
some of those will just like completely like.
And we asked, you know, and it does just have to do with, it's perfectly fine that the honey is like this and that the honey is like that.
Yeah.
You know, so there's not like, honey is not going to go bad because it's not super viscous, right? That's what it is. Viscosity of honey. That's a big word. I know.
Yeah. That was nice.
Look at me. Science. But so just be aware this week. Maybe you can go to a local market and maybe you don't have to buy, but maybe you can talk with someone and see kind of where you can start to implement some of these things into your diet.
Sounds good.
So thank you guys so much for tuning into this week's episode. As always, we appreciate you watching, commenting, texting us. It's been so amazing.
Yeah, no, a few people asked like where we were as far as like the podcast goes. So that was always nice when people reach out and kind of ask, you know, they're like, hey, where's the newest episode? So
yeah.
We'll definitely, we got this nice little setup here for a few months. So we'll be putting some content out for sure.
Yeah. So we definitely look forward to any questions you guys have. If you have any things you want to hear on the podcast, please don't hesitate to let us know. But other than that, have a great week and we'll see you next week.
Peace.